Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. I'm just getting set up for our live stream coming up tonight. We'll start at about 7:45, watching the Dallas Cowboys versus the Baltimore Ravens. And this year has stunk to holy heaven. And for some reason, the dog up there is just barking like crazy. I think it's because Michael Anthony Fitness just went out to get shot glasses to all of you new channel members. He's headed to the post office to deliver that, as well as Alan Williams. Alan Williams, your prize is hitting the mail today. And I think Gridiron Blitz, I think he's getting actually a rack made as well. So all that stuff is going out, and probably Simba is barking at Michael because he's out of his car, just being a pain in the ass like he is. But anyway, tonight's going to be interesting because we have Dez Bryant playing against the Dallas Cowboys. This is going to be interesting to say the least. Dez Bryant says there's no hard feelings, man. That's water under the bridge. We all family. You've heard Demarcus Lawrence basically saying, he can't wait to play against Dez Bryant. That, we family and all that. It'll be cool. It's nice to say that when you're, before the game and stuff. But when you're playing, you want to show up and show off. You want to give them that little extra hit if you get a chance to. That's just the way it is because we friends and all that. But I want to still get the best of you. And Jerry Jones, of course, not wanting to give up any of the spotlight. Jerry.
I don't have time to have a bad time. It isn't on my schedule.
That's right. Jerry says he does not have time for a bad time because it is not on his schedule. Yeah, Jerry, it's not on your schedule. We get that. Um, he says that Dez Bryant was a joy for me. He was a pain in the ass, but he was a joy. You know, that was said with actually a whole lot of love. Because, many times I tell my wife, you are a pain in the ass, and sometimes I say, you're a pain in the ass. You know the difference, right? You know the difference between that. You just a pain in the ass, but no, baby, you a pain in the ass. And you say that because, it's not always easy, but things that are easy usually aren't really worthwhile. And you don't appreciate things that you have if they're learn to appreciate that much more. And as we look back on this, we still have people that says, "Man, we should have signed Dez Bryant. Man, he could have been a red zone threat and things like that." But here's the reality: we as fans, we look at a player from the highlights. That's what you remember. You remember the great plays and things. You remember Dez Bryant elevating over people and snatching the ball and things like that. It's like Michael Vick, for example. You remember his days in Atlanta when he was literally like Tecmo Bowl, where he was a video game watching him run. And as these players get older, you don't remember the times that they are slowing down. You only remember those really good times. It's like your community when you grew up from. You don't remember bad times happening in your hometown. You only remember the good stuff. And when you think about Dez Bryant, because Dez Bryant's numbers, I pulled them up. Dez Bryant had a 3-year window where he was just unstoppable. And when you look back at this, it's freaking insane. And that was 2012. He had 92 receptions for 1,382 yards, 15 yards per catch, and 12 TDs. Freaking amazing. He followed it up the next year with 93 receptions, one more, a little less yards per completion, 1,233, dropped down to 13.3, but still 13 TDs. Monster season. And then, of course, 2014, the year that he actually got paid and was the catch, no catch away from game, 1,320 yards, 88 receptions, 15-yard average, 16 TDs. But unfortunately, after that time, it just went downhill because he never reached over 800 yards, more than 800 yards, but once. And in fact, the next year he was injured most of the season in 2015. 401 yards and 796 and 16 when Dak came in for Tony Romo. But interestingly enough, that first year with Dak Prescott, he averaged the most yards per completion, 15.9, which is kind of interesting. But there was a difference because that year we ended up doing receptions by committee. We didn't have anybody that was just like 1,000 yard receiver. You had Terrence Williams get, like 600 yards. You had Cole Beasley get like 800 yards. You had Jason Witten get like 800 yards. And that offense was more unstoppable because it was balanced more so than not. Because teams know if we got one great wide receiver, if we can take him out of the way, we're not as scared of the other guys. But when you can pass the ball around equally to guys where any one of you can beat you, that makes it that much harder for you to stop it. And that was one of the reasons why the Cowboys offense, having Michael Gallup, having CeeDee Lamb, and having Amari Cooper, became more unstoppable because it was pick your poison. Any one of these guys can kill you, and you can't stop them all. And in some regards, as hard as it is, and this is the worst part about football, is there really is no loyalty. It's really about getting somebody for as cheap as you can, get what you can get out of them and let them go. And you have to check your feelings at the door. You got to understand that, and this is what Demario Davis taught me, that understand every one of those players gets a 1099 at the end of the year, which means you are an independent contractor. You are. You have a union, but every one of you are your own company. And so when you see a guy out there and his numbers are going down, they're going to let you go. They're going to try and get you to take a pay cut. They're going to find somebody to replace you. And that's hard because you look at what players, and Dez Bryant was an incredible player for the Cowboys. Dez Bryant had more passion than anybody else. Every time he threw up the X, everybody was throwing up the X and things. He's on the sidelines being that motivator, putting a foot in people's ass and letting them know that losing is unacceptable. And in some ways, you could look at it and say that the Dallas Cowboys are missing that emotional guy who can get into people's faces and get them motivated to play. It'll be interesting tonight to see how Dez reacts. It'll be interesting to see how Baltimore uses him. Thus far, he's had 5 targets this season, 4 completions for 28 yards. You may see Baltimore trying to use that as a motivational tool and try and have Dez Bryant out there a lot more. And we'll have to wait and see how it goes. I am looking forward to it, and I'm happy for Dez that he's with Baltimore. I kind of wish he had signed on with them the 3 years ago when they originally offered him a contract, and maybe he would have had, a career path would have been a little bit different than where it is right now. But I hope you guys will tune in tonight. We will definitely be here live streaming the game, and we'll see what we see. Will the Cowboys take a step closer to getting that top 5 pick, or will they take a step getting out of the top 5? Those answers will be answered tonight. I'm Mark Holmes, and I will see you here in 4 hours.